Hey, happy Thursday. It's time for my live video. As you can tell, I usually do them on Thursdays because, like I said, I work from home on Thursdays, and it's just easier for me to do it when no one's watching me. So here we are, and today I wanted to talk about the 7-step process that my company has when you hire us to take you through your project, regardless of the size of your project or what's going on. We have a process that we go through to make sure that it runs efficiently and stays as much on budget and on time as we possibly can. And just as I'm looking here in the video in the background, you can see my bookshelves, which I'm going to be replacing this bookshelf pretty soon. But Elsie has taken to, my daughter Elsie, who is 6, has taken to rearranging all the accessories on the shelves. So they might change week to week if you're keeping track. She does want to work for me when she gets older. She wants to be a designer, which is an upgrade from last year when she's going into kindergarten. She said she wanted to work for Joanna Gaines. So I had to remind her that Mommy is also a designer and you could work for Mommy's company. So she says she wants to work for me, which I love. I'll definitely train her from the get-go and teach her about our process. So getting back to the process, last week I talked about the consultation. No, it was 2 weeks ago. And like what exactly is involved with the project starter consultation. And I went into that in detail. So you can go back and look at that video and see exactly what that process is, because that can even be daunting before you hire a designer, just even going through the initial consultation, because I charge for my initial consultations because they are a working meeting. And so it's you're making an investment, but you do get something in return for it, even if you decide to not move forward with us for your project. So we have, like I said, the 3 consultation offerings right now. We have the 2-hour project starter consultation, which I talked about. So that can be to start the project. It can also be a standalone consultation if that's all that you're needing. You need something a little more than an hour or a half hour, and something a little more in depth, but you don't actually need us to help you with your project. So there's that option. The other one, which has been really popular, is the paint consultation, 1-hour paint consultation. Color is one of my favorite things, so I think that's one of our best offerings. Is we come out for an hour and give you all the colors that you might need for your house to get it repainted. And you know that paint is one of the most cost-effective ways to make a huge impact and a huge change in your house. And you want to do it right the first time, because it's a several $1,000 investment in your house if you're having the whole thing painted. So you want to make sure you're picking the right colors. So that's the other consultation. And then we also have the half-hour Skype consultation, which is great for people who, I've used this with a client who just bought their house and is not ready to hire me yet, but just kind of needs an idea of what to, how to arrange things, what ideas she could have so she could start budgeting. So down the line she can hire me. And so we did a Skype consult, and she kind of walked me through her new house, and I got to see and, kind of point out different things, and the whole thing is recorded so she could reference it later. And she did actually hire us later on for a paint consultation before they moved in, and she said she had memorized basically our half-hour consultation and had word for word all the advice that I had given her, so she valued it so much. So that was a nice thing to have. So that is an option as well. The half-hour consultation just needs some brainstorming. You want to show me a few things and get some professional feedback on that. All right, so that's step 1, is the consult. So once you're ready to move past that, you've received the contract with our estimated design fees, and we've asked you for a retainer, and you've paid that retainer. Then we're going to step 2, gather. So gathering the information means that we'll come back, we'll measure your space, take the necessary photos that we need. We might check in with you again about the style just to confirm we have it nailed down. And if you had any additional, like if you created a Pinterest board or something like that that you want to show us, that would be a great time for it. Then we also do a recap of the scope of the project so that everyone's on the same page before we get started. And we kind of check in with you at this point and see, do you have any questions? How do you feel about our process so far? How comfortable are you moving forward? So then at that point, we move on to step 3, which is the design phase. And so we always warn our clients that in this phase, step 2 and 3, it can be 6 to 8 weeks that we are gathering the information, making our drawings. We have our trades day. We meet with our trades on site, get our bids and estimates all taken care of. We do, of course, the designs to say we're doing a furniture layout or remodeling a master bath. Then we'll have the new design options available. Kind of think through all the scenarios, talk through them all with the contractors, make sure they're viable options and nothing is too outlandish in the budget. Everything's working for your budget. We will then also source any furniture or furnishings that we need for that, all the specifications, finished materials. We're going to put that all together and everything that we're going to need to present to you. So by the time we get to step 4, which is presentation, we'll have put together a budget, a realistic budget of what your project will actually cost based on our contractor's bid, and as well as the cost of all the furnishing items that may be going into your project, as well as the remainder of design fees. And so since this process in design can take 6 to 8 weeks, we prepare the client and let them know that they're getting monthly bills and they're not necessarily seeing us do any of the work, although on their monthly statement it does say all the work that we've been doing. But it is very common for them to get a $1,000 to $3,000 design fee invoice before they've actually met with us for the presentation. And sometimes it's a little hard to swallow because you haven't seen the fruits of the labor. You can see that we've actually been doing a lot of work, but you don't get to touch and feel the fun part yet. So that's kind of the hard part on the client's side because we're working away in the background, but they don't get to see all of our details until the presentation. So once we have everything put together, we schedule with the client for a presentation. And, we double check all our facts before we get in there, make sure nothing's been discontinued, all the pricing's been checked and double checked, and we have all of our samples that we could possibly get to show you what it could be. We have the floor plan drawings, we have our design boards, which kind of give you a perspective of what everything will look like when it's put together. And then we have the fun part, which is the meeting of the presentation, usually in our office at our studio. It can run up to 2 hours depending on the size of the project. And we have it all laid out on our conference table, room by room. We meet with you and talk about the floor plan changes. So make sure you sign off on yes, this is a great layout according to how we intend to use the space. Show you any changes that are being, if walls are being moved, and what our intentions are for the design. And then after we get through that nitty-gritty, then we'll look at all the fun part, like actually touching the finishes and the samples that are going into it. The rugs, fabrics, metal, wallpapers, things like that. So that's all laid out, and you get to say yes, that you love everything. And then after, you can see the whole vision of it all put together at the presentation, and then we give you the numbers as well. So there's no surprises. We say, okay, the furniture is going to cost you $40,000, and then on top of that, there'll be the shipping and freight fees, which will be another $5,000 to $10,000, and then this is the contractor's bid. It is going to be $60,000. So that going into it, it's going to be at least $100,000, whatever we total it out to be. So you have realistic expectations, and we say, okay, now we know what you had told us in the beginning your budget was, and this is what the budget came in at. And sometimes it matches or is under, or often is the case that it's over because it's just hard to estimate in the beginning on the client side how much that project will actually cost. So at that point, we'll talk to the client and say, so how comfortable are you with this number? And does anything need to be changed? Like, do you want to hold off on furnishing this one room? Do you want to change the finishes so that it's not quite so expensive? How can we help you get to a place where the budget meets your expectations and that you're comfortable moving forward? And then we'll make sure you're not compromising in a place that's really critical to the design, or something that you might not be happy with later on. So we'll definitely say yes or no, like this is a good spot to save some money. You don't need to spend $1,500 on this little side table. We can get one that costs $500. But you want to spend the money on the countertops or something like that. So that all happens at the presentation. And then at that point, you're ready to make your deposit on everything. You'll sign your contracts with the contractors or subs. We don't contract with them on your behalf because we're not general contractors. So you will have your own contracts with them, but we've already procured all that information for you, so you just get in touch with them and sign it. Then for the furnishings part of it, we take a 75% deposit on that, so we can place the orders, and we like to do that as soon as possible so nothing goes out of stock, etc. There's no reselections involved. And then if anything did need to change at that time, we would really quickly, within a week, make those adjustments and try to get the project started as soon as possible. So then we move from the presentations to step 5, the implementation. Then that's where we start to place the orders. We'll get the permit processed if that's needed for this project. We'll let our warehouse know they're going to receive a whole bunch of furniture they'll need to inspect, and we'll keep tabs on the estimated delivery of all those items. And once we kind of have a date, like the contractor says, okay, we're going to be done by, the week before Thanksgiving, and we know that all the furniture vendors said, yes, we're going to meet that cutoff, then we can schedule the warehouse to deliver the furniture and schedule the the cleaners and everything that needs to happen before the installation day. And let's see, did I forget anything on there? So once the construction begins, we'll also make site visits occasionally to make sure that the project is proceeding in the fashion that we have designed it to be. And we're usually in direct communication with the contractors, just when any questions come up, to make sure that it's looking perfect for you. And then at the end of the project, there's the installation day. And so that's another fun day for the client. They've survived the implementation phase, living through the remodel, if there is that going on, which is always stressful. And then we try to do the installation all in one day if possible. So we have the furniture all collected, if there's furnishings, and then we have it delivered all in one day. We do the styling, and so it looks like one of those HGTV reveals like I talked about we did a couple weeks ago with our client. And it's just a lot of fun for us and for the client to kind of just have everything wrapped up with a bow and be finalized. And then after the installation and the styling, we'll have the conclusion where we walk through with you if there's any deficiencies that need to be taken care of. We'll contact the contractors, take care of those, any changes, things like that to wrap up. You'll also receive a client binder with all the specifications we had for your project, so you can reference it in the future and let you know like what material was on the sofa and how you clean it, and what the warranty from this manufacturer is. And so all that information's in a digital binder for you to reference later on if you have any questions on that. And then we'll just make sure that you are completely satisfied with the project, and that there's nothing else you need before we move on to the other phase of your house, or just move on to our next project. So that's kind of how it happens when you hire us. It goes through the same 7 steps with every project. It gives us consistency, and we've had a lot of success. Our clients have been very happy with our process. One of the things that came back recently, we had a client review us, and he said that he really appreciated how we don't always walk into a client's house and say, oh, everything here has to go. We really try to work with the client's needs and styles and try to maximize what it is that they want to see, and not just have it be a cookie cutter of what our design firm typically does. So that's why you'll see our projects that have a lot of variety in the styles, but overall I do think that we have a California casual style, which is fitting for the area, and I'm going to talk about that in another video down the road. So I'd love to see if you guys have any questions about that process. Of course, you can always find it on our website, rwddesign.com, and it goes through, all those steps are listed out in order, and then just feel free to comment below if you have any questions. Have a great Thursday and a great weekend. It looks like it's cooling down here in Sacramento, which is great. We're having my son's 4th birthday party here at our house, so things will be a little bit crazy getting ready for that. It's Lego themed, and so I think it's gonna be a lot of fun, so I'll probably post some of those photos, and so you'll see how that party goes too. So have a great weekend. Talk to you soon.